Ross Coulthart's just come out to double down on the fact that he believes that the egg UAP video that was shared by Jake Barber back in January or February is completely legitimate. Now, before we get into today's video, I want to urge you guys to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video early doors, because this is just a drop in the ocean of what we've got to talk about. So, obviously, the video that was shared was, of course, shared by Jake Barber back in around February time of 2025, right? And it obviously, with regards to it, it talks about the authenticity and, you know, the clip that I'm going to show you at least talks about the authenticity of the 2025 release footage, showing a helicopter retrieving an SUV-sized egg-shaped UAP, as described by whistleblower Jake Barber, a veteran claiming involvement in secret recovery operations at a site called the quote-unquote range. Now, Coulthart, of course, withholds specifics like dates and locations to safeguard the source who risked exposure, while interpreting the Pentagon's lack of denial as a tactic acknowledgement. Now, the advocates for congressional subpoenas and compel testimonies like from key figures. Now, replies deflect divided views, with some demanding Ross's subpoena for more details, while others proposing the object as man-made special access program tech, aligning with ongoing debates about the origins of UAPs and lacking peer-reviewed evidence. That's obviously kind of what we've got thus far. Now, the video, in case you've forgotten, is this one right here that was shared by Jake Barber. Now, obviously, a lot of people tried to recreate this just kind of in their own home with some stuff that they had lying around, but this is the video.
Let's slow this down to take a closer look. That's an egg-shaped UAP suspended from a 150-foot long line. We're told the craft is about 20 feet long. The egg suspended in a cradle. And look how careful the pilot is as they bring their precious cargo into land. Let's freeze frame here to look at one of the clearest images of a UAP ever taken. This is no blurry light in a distant sky. The source of the footage putting themselves at incredible risk to record this UAP retrieval. Look at how perfectly smooth the craft is. No markings at all, and no visible means of propulsion or way to see inside. Watch how it rolls, almost graceful as it hits the ground, despite being wrapped in the ropes and canvas from the cradle as it's dropped for pickup. The UAP's final destination still unknown.
Now, obviously, a very compelling narrative there from Ross Coulthart. You gotta love to I love the way that he describes things. It's really interesting. 8 months on, obviously, it's still one of the most divisive videos to ever be shared by a whistleblower. And that kind of goes without saying. But 8 months later, Ross Coulthart has come back out to talk about the egg footage that has come out. So Ross Coulthart has addressed the following follow-up questions regarding the UAP and shown during his Jake Barber interview, and he says that he's absolutely convinced that the footage is authentic and is typical of the kinds of object Barber admits retrieving from locations that he calls the range. But Ross won't give dates, places, or names to protect the sources who risked a lot to get the video out. And he points out that the Pentagon's silence on the clip speaks volumes and calls for Congress to stop pussyfooting around the subpoena of the people who know. This isn't the first time that Ross has called out Congress for pussyfooting around things, so let's kind of get into that, because obviously that's just as interesting as the footage itself.
Hey Russ, we were going to stick with questions about the egg. Dead Rock reached out to me on X saying, Ross, can you provide any follow-up on the egg retrieval footage shown during your Jake Barber interview? I responded asking what specifically would you like information on, and he's saying, we know nothing. So all info on date, time, location, circumstances leading to the landing, crash, retrieval, carried out by who, details of the egg itself, who took it away, where was it taken, etc.
Okay, think about what you're asking. If I gave you the date, if I gave you the location and the full details, then what would happen? The people who provided me that video might be implicated. So one of the things we have to do as journalists is protect sources. And yes, I'm absolutely convinced that the egg video is authentic, it's genuine, and it's very typical of the kind of objects that Jake Barber has been, on his own admission, involved in retrieving in the location he euphemistically calls the range. I can't tell you any more than that, because one of the obligations we have as journalists is to protect our sources. It took a hell of a lot to get that video. It didn't come from Jake Barber. It came from other sources, and I know it's authentic. And I'm afraid you're just going to have to accept it. What I find is very, very conspicuous is the complete lack of comment from the Defence Department or the intelligence community or the government. They've said nothing. And the reason why is because they know it's genuine, and they also know that we know a great deal about the range, where it is, and who's involved. And what really, I think, frustrates me is Congress could do this. Congress knows all this because they've been told about all of this in secure SCIF hearings by Jake Barber. They've got this information. So why the hell are we, how does one say this politely, pussyfooting around by not calling people who should be called, or allowing people who are evading being called to evade being called? We should just subpoena these organisations. And that's why it's a very good development that Anna Paulina Luna, the chairwoman of the Oversight Committee task force that's investigating this issue, she's basically said that they're going to start subpoenaing witnesses, possibly involuntarily, and they've sent out interrogatories, questions. And one of the things they should be asking about is questions about these particular facilities where Jake Barber has given first-hand evidence of his direct knowledge of being involved in retrievals. So I'm sorry, I can't give you dates, I can't give you names, I can't tell you who's involved, because to do so is to compromise sources. I think it's an extraordinary act of courage by Jake Barber to have come out and said what he's said and done what he's done. And frankly, the most conspicuous thing that I can see is the failure by Congress.
Now, it's classic Ross Coulthart at this current time, where he'll say, I know for a fact that this is categorically true. Here's X, Y, and Z reason as to why I believe that this is categorically, or why I know this is categorically true. He's very confident in what he says, is Ross Coulthart. But then there's kind of nothing to kind of follow it up, really. It's a bit of a weird one. I mean, I understand not compromising sources. You don't want to compromise your sources because then your sources won't come to you and you won't be seen as a reliable journalist in that sense. But there is something that I found on the internet that does kind of support the potential that this egg UFO might genuinely be real. So Dylan Borland, who also spoke out at the recent congressional hearing back in September, has also made some claims that people within the UFO Legacy program have told him that Tic Tac UFOs have been found at archaeological dig sites. Obviously, this is quite a big deal because archaeological dig sites typically find dinosaurs and fossils and stuff like this. But allegedly, they found Tic Tac UFOs, or otherwise known as sometimes egg UFOs. So that's quite an interesting. That's quite an interesting thing to point out. But also, there was a Daily Mail article that came out back in 2023 from December 11th, and it was an exclusive from the Daily Mail, like I've said, where secrets of Area 51, metallic egg-shaped UFO the size of an SUV, was kept in a highly classified Air Force base until in the 1980s, whistleblower claims. Now, Eric Tabber, a defense aerospace contractor for 13 years, told the DailyMail.com of an egg-shaped UAP which was kept in Area 51 until the 1980s. He revealed that the story of this late great uncle, Sam Urquhart, an Area 51 contractor, told him about a UFO at the mysterious desert base. Tebber testified in May at the Pentagon's UFO investigation unit, who will be collecting amounts of alleged government possession of non-human craft. Obviously, we all know that that never came to be, but could this be the one and the same craft that Jake Barber was referencing and showed video footage of back in 2000, at the start of 2025? There's a possibility of that. There is a possibility of that. I do find it highly interesting. when all these things kind of go a bit full circle in this kind of capacity. I'm intrigued to see what comes next from this. I'm intrigued to see if these things correlate, if they're the same craft, if they're different craft. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump to get the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.